Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined today by Robert Meyer Burnett. Sitting over there, of course, is Ray Ora. Back there in the background, like Renfield himself, we got Taylor Gonzalez. Running the show today, Jonathan Voico. And being Thursday, Aaron Cummings and Joey Bishop are here. Oh, Joey's looking all dressed up in her pinks today. And of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. A couple of things here. First of all, here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off the show in the first part with some predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, if you're one of our channel members, first of all, thank you for being one of our channel members. We're going to take your comments and questions if you're a channel member. Maybe use your anniversary chat or go ahead and use that. We're going to put up a post in the community section of the webpage today. I'm discombobulated today. In the community section of the page, right when we get near the end of our main topics, we're going to be putting up a post asking our channel members to fire in some questions, and we will address those in the second half of the show. Also, want to let you guys know about something. A couple of times a week, we have started doing some play-in chats. And we did a play-in chat yesterday afternoon. And if you did not join us for that play-in chat, here's a little taste of some of the stuff that you're missing out on. You're in the lead. You can get with the... in front of me all of a sudden. Oh, at least I won. But there should be a limit. You can only get hit with the blue shell once per game.
I don't want, but at least I won.
Well, Ray got me at the end.
I hear in my head.
You got me right at the end.
It's not how you sound, but that's what I hear in my head.
Okay, Chino writes, how much?
I win, but it's still not fair. Even if I have the medal, I'm still going to complain about how clean it is. Or how dirty it is. Why would you complain how clean something is? Man, that's too clean. Why would you complain if something's too clean? Yo, that's a little too clean.
All right, just some support here from Martin Garcia.
Thank you, Martin.
And we've got...
How much? Not enough support at all. Might as well cancel your YouTube.
Yeah, so that's some of the stuff that we got going on our play-in chats. Make sure you guys join us for our next play-in chat. We would love to have you guys there joining us. I win. Okay. So anyway, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here today, so let's not waste any more time and dive right into it. And we're going to start off with this. You know, Nicolas Cage, to me, he is a Hall of Famer actor. If there was truly a Hollywood Hall of Fame, Nicolas Cage belongs in it. He's got Oscars, he's multiple nominations, terrific actor. Now, granted, the last number of years, you never quite know what you're going to get. Like, you're either going to get something like Jiu-Jitsu. I think that was the one he says, woo! But every once in a while, you get something like Pig, right? Sure. So he can still show flashes of his brilliance and then sometimes do some real garbage. Well, he's had a new movie coming out with Nicholas Hoult called Renfield, where Nicolas Cage is playing Dracula. Well, the new trailer for Renfield dropped. And listen, I was kind of hoping that this was going to be a serious, dramatic movie. And you might say, well, John, you only set yourself up for disappointment because they put Nicolas Cage in as Dracula. Nicolas Cage can do heavy drama. We just talked about a couple of projects that he can clearly do heavy drama. He's an Academy Award winner. You had Nicholas Hoult in there. And so when this trailer started with Nicholas Hoult as Renfield walking into a support group, I was like, well, there goes any hope I had for this movie. All hope gone. And then the first couple of jokes came. It's like, yep, this is terrible. And then I watched the whole movie, the whole trailer, and I'm like, I cannot wait to watch this movie. Like, it won me over. It's so weird. This movie, you could tell right from the beginning of the trailer, is not what I wanted this movie to be at all. And it won me over anyway. By the time this trailer ended, I was like, where can I see this and how fast can I see this? Because, I mean, the humor in it was great. It's going to have some great corny action in it, all kinds of stuff. I love Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult is a terrific performer, and he's finally starting to get the credit that he is due, having just come off The Menu as well, which he was fabulous in as well, by the way. So he's just incredible. But I mean, just even that last line, well, clearly we're dealing with something more than narcissism here. I'm like, all right, you got me. See, this is great. This is why it is okay for us as movie fans to have things that we want and to have expectations. It's fine for us to have those. You just got to be ready to put them aside and accept something for what it is. You don't just reject something because it wasn't what you wanted. And maybe it wasn't what you wanted and it sucked, and that's fine. But this is one of those cases where this is not what I wanted. This is not what I was looking for. But put my expectations aside, this was a good trailer. I laughed, I chuckled, I smiled. It made me want to see it. We always say the litmus test of a good trailer is, does it take your expectations of a movie and bump them up? This trailer did it for me. And you and I have not talked about this at all.
No.
You had a chance to watch the trailer for Renfield. What did you think about it?
Well, look, I think it's really, to me, obviously the movie is not about Dracula. It's about his helper.
His familiar.
His familiar. And it could go two ways. We live in the post What We Do in the Shadows world, and it is Nicolas Cage. But to me, I thought it's funny, but it also presents, did you ever see Fright Night?
Yes.
The 80s Fright Night?
Both of them. I even saw,
And the remake's not bad.
I thought the remake was, I actually think I like the remake a little bit better.
The one thing about Fright Night is it was humorous, but also the threat was very real. The Jerry Dandridge, the vampire, was scary. He will destroy you. So it was a great horror comedy. And American Werewolf, as scary as you found it, there's a lot of great scary stuff in it. There's also a lot of humorous stuff
yes, there
too.
Is.
And I think this movie, I mean, clearly Nicolas Cage is caging it up. But
caging it up.
But what we saw in this trailer is he is a dangerous and formidable antagonist. And this movie, I thought it looked great.
Aaron, you had a chance to watch the trailer for the first time this morning as well. What did you think about the trailer for Renfield?
Oh, I think it looks fantastic. And, first of all, I'm loving the Nick Cage-a-sons that we're all having. I have been a huge Nick Cage fan ever since Peggy Sue got married. It's one of my personal favorites. I mean, obviously, leaving Las Vegas, he won his Academy Award for, but Peggy Sue got married is where I think we
That's
really
Kathleen
see
Turner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a really fun, totally 80s film. If you haven't seen it, it's just fun. Go check it out. But I am thrilled to see Nick Cage getting to be Nick Cage. I'm okay. There's some actors that I don't love when they do a caricature of themselves. Al Pacino is one of them. Jim Carrey is another. I just go, okay, that's a lot. But for whatever reason, I want Nick Cage to out Nick Cage himself at every turn. I find it delicious. And with this kind of over-the-top character that Dracula already is, to see Nick Cage being able to play that and bring all of his wonderful Cageisms into it, I'm really excited. This looks like a fun one.
All right, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see this trailer for Renfield? It is not what I wanted it to be, but it absolutely won me over. I don't know, maybe you saw it and you thought it was too corny, maybe you didn't like it, maybe you've never even heard of the film. Whatever you guys are thinking about it, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into another off the top here, shall we? And that one is this. Now, clearly, the show that is up next on my radar, that I think everybody in this room, all of us, probably most of you guys at home too, coming up in like 10 days. 10 days. The Last of Us. The Last of Us hits HBO Max. Couple things to be really excited. 3 reasons to be absolutely thrilled and excited for this show. Number one, it's based on a video game that has, I think, the best narrative story ever in the history of video games. So that's number one. Number two, it's being done by the showrunner of Chernobyl, probably the best miniseries of the last 20 years. So you got that guy doing it.
Craig Mazin.
Amazing. Number three, HBO is the gold standard of excellent television programming. Netflix does series really, really great too. Others can do well as well, but HBO is still the de facto gold standard. So you put those things together, doesn't guarantee the show's going to be great. Who knows? Maybe it won't, but it gives us every reason to be excited. Well, now it looks like HBO, they thought they had a winner in there too, because they put their money where their mouth is. According to reports that are coming out now, The Last of Us has a higher budget than the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. Apparently, season 1 of this show was budgeted around $100 million, which again, if you're used to talking in motion picture money, that sounds like a mid-level picture. But for a series, that is still quite on the high end. And when you know, Rob, when I heard that number, whenever we talk about budgets, right, particularly big budgets, the first question we usually ask ourselves is, do I see it? And once I read that number, that they put like $100 million into this thing for its production, you think back to the trailers and the clips we've seen, and you know what? You see it. You see it in the detail of the world. I'm not even talking about the visual effects.
No, I
like
know.
The scope of it and the detail and just the immersiveness of that world. And I thought back immediately to those trailers. I thought, yep, I can see it. I can see. And how many episodes do they say it is? I can't remember if it's 8 or 10.
Hopefully 10.
But like if it's like putting $10 million per episode, it's like, yeah, I can see it. It also means we won't have giant CGI battles that rage for a half hour and destroying cities. But I mean, I think that's great to hear. Anyway, you hear about the budget of this thing. What did you think?
Well, like you said, it's clearly up on the screen. And, you know, I felt that when you have someone like Craig Mazin, who has been an industry veteran now for the better part of 25 years, more than that even, he really knows how, he's learned how to, over that time, to maximize his dollar. And if you looked at Chernobyl, the production values of Chernobyl were outstanding. There was never talk about peak verisimilitude. I mean, this show benefits from everything that he's gleaned over the years about how to make something like this. And just from the trailers, John, I mean, this looks epic. It looks huge. It looks sprawling. Obviously,
look at that.
Yeah. I mean, great effects. You don't. And the thing is, this. I mean, The Last of Us, as far as gamers are concerned, it's like the creme de la creme. It's the best of the best. It's as far as gaming and storytelling put together. And if they've screwed it up, it would have been bad. And so I think they knew what they had to do. They knew how important this was. What?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Joey Bishop is complaining to her mama.
No, I just think that it needed to be great. And they know it needs to be great. That's why Craig Mazin was involved, and that's why HBO spent the money.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess, Aaron, that you did not do a complete playthrough of both Last of Us games.
Oh yeah, I
but
made
I'm
it
sure
to the end
Tom
every
is
time.
probably very aware of this.
I got to the castle, I saved the princess, and yeah, I smashed Last of Us.
But I'm sure Tom is very
on my
aware of this show.
Intellivision gaming console.
But you
Like
hear
that
about this.
Yeah,
It's
Robert
an
Meyer
HBO
Menendez is what I'm
series.
talking about with the Intellivision.
You've seen the trailers. We see the budget numbers. What's your takeaway from this?
I mean, first, this is not surprising for a number of reasons. You know, HBO is always on the lookout for their next epic show. And you're absolutely right. I concur everything that you said about Craig Mazin. If you have not seen Chernobyl, it has to be on your must-watch list just for the sheer beauty of the storytelling and telling what was really a complicated story with many, many layers. He did in such a way that was easy to understand, but wasn't dumbed down and did not shy away from the brutality of the situation. And that's what we're going to be seeing, I believe, in The Last of Us, is a lot of that bold storytelling that is not afraid of really getting dirty and in your face, is going to be able to break down complicated themes and ideas in a way that is palatable, but also doesn't, not dumbing down for an audience. And then you look at the cast. I mean, starting at the top with Pedro Pascal, who really is just shining bright these days. I mean, anything he touches, people want to see. Bella Ramsey, who was fantastic in Game of Thrones. I love that she is the second lead of this. We're really going to get to see her shine in a way that we were hinted at in Game of Thrones. We obviously have Murray Bartlett, who was great in the first season of White Lotus. Melanie Linsky, who is on Yellow Jackets, and the list goes on and on and on of really talented performers. So I'm excited about this. And they also probably, when they're doing these budgets, they're not just arbitrarily throwing money out. They're looking at the script breakdowns, what the story is going to be. They do all the numbers. They have bean counters in the office that are running the numbers on this. And I think that they know what they're doing. I'm excited about it. And these numbers just tell us that this is one that should absolutely be on our watch list.
It looks to me like it's going to be the type of show that's like Andor. Anne was mentioning it to me. We were talking about Andor, and she said one of the great things about Andor is if you don't like Star Wars, even though Mandalorian's great, you may not get into Mandalorian. You may get, because she said Andor is the type of show that even if you don't like Star Wars, it's just a great show. And I have a feeling they're going for the same thing in The Last of Us. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It sounds like HBO's not just got a big IP, they're putting money behind it as well. Where's your anticipation level right now for The Last of Us? It's only 10 days away. Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day, shall we? If you guys have a question for the show and like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime, 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Leave your message there and maybe you'll hear it here on the show. And today they're talking about a movie I'm going to go see a little bit later this evening. Mandy, check it out.
What's up, crew? This is Chris from Massachusetts, and I'm just going to keep this nice and short. Megan comes out this weekend. How much is it going to make at the box office? Love the show. Thanks.
Robert pointed out that I had Nicolas Cage on the brain when I said Mandy. Megan, of course, is what I'm seeing later today at 5
You have
o'clock.
Barry Manilow on the brain.
He doesn't know what he's seeing.
I have no idea what I'm going to. All right. This is a really great question because, and look up the Rotten Tomatoes meter on this for me right now, because the last time I checked, Megan, this little horror film about a little robot girl, was at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I'm sure it's gone down a little bit. Well, what's
It's
it at
95 right now.
What's that?
95.
Oh, it dropped all the way down. Dropped like a stone in the river. All the way down to 95%.
To skip it.
On Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I first caught wind of this back in April at CinemaCon when they showed us a little bit of a preview. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it looked all that great. Now, the trailers they released afterwards looked better than the preview they showed us. And our own Taylor Gonzalez has actually seen it, and he really liked it. And the critics are clearly really liking 95%. I'm now excited to see this thing, especially when I was watching the college football playoffs. They had all those girls dressed as Megan. It was like, okay, that's pretty creepy. They're doing a good job marketing this thing, so I'm excited to see it. So how well will it do? We've seen things like Barbarian and Smile and these little low-budget, well-conceived horror movies do quite well proportionally for their budget, like exceedingly well proportionally to their budgets, right? So how much do I think Megan can make? I am going to set the line, and then you can give me an over-under on this. I'm going to set the line. I say Megan makes $19 million this weekend. Now, before any of you start thinking, well, that sounds pretty low. Well, don't compare it to like the opening of, Thor: Love and Thunder or Black Adam or anything. This is but I want to let you guys know. You know how much this movie cost? Anybody in the room know how much this movie cost them to make?
$8 million.
You're not far off. $12 million.
Yeah.
Smile was 17.
Smile was 17. This movie has
Barbarian's
a budget
4.5.
of $12 million. If this thing can open to 19, they are well on their way to having a very, very happy new year indeed. Anyway, Rob, this movie's opening up. I'm going to go see it tonight in a double feature with Mandy. You've been seeing it, you've been following. I know you've had some anticipation for it. Where do you see this thing opening up to this weekend?
I think you're underestimating. I think Megan is going to make more. I think the marketing for this film has been great. The trailers have been great. Look, the creepy dance that she does in the trailer, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'll go see this movie. And I think, look, here's the thing about well-conceived, well-executed horror. If it's good, people will show up. People have always shown up. And then you'll read the think pieces about how horror is back. It's never gone anywhere. Horror has been a foundational a part of Hollywood since Nosferatu in the 20s, man. People love great horror films. And the thing about it is, It's the one genre of film that a studio can put out that costs less than 20 million bucks. I mean, there are studios, I would say, don't release anything but great horror movies for a year. Get yourselves back up on a paying basis before you start swinging at the fences with your ill-conceived tentpoles. I mean, this is really great. Smile made 200 million worldwide. Barbarian, I think, did 40 million domestic. I mean, these are big numbers. When you've made a movie that costs $4.5 million and it makes 40 million bucks, I know that the studios, well, now we want to make $1 billion. Well, yeah, sure. But what if you made 10 $4 million movies that all made 40 million bucks?
And take us back not too long ago. Elizabeth Moss's The Invisible Man cost $7 million to make. Made $145 million at the box office.
Yeah,
on a $7 million budget.
That's Jason Blum and Blumhouse pioneering that, making horror, bringing back the Sham Hammer had to go make a $5 million movie when he made The Visit, and it made money. This is a great way for new filmmakers. I think Smile was directed by a first-time director.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pretty cool. I think maybe Barbarian was too.
Aaron? I know, like, horror is not your big thing, but
It's touch and go for me.
you were
It's touch
there
and go.
at CinemaCon with us when we saw the preview. You've seen the trailers for it now. I'm setting the line at 19 million. How much do you think you're thinking this thing can make in its opening weekend?
I'm going to go with Rob. I think you're really underestimating the buzz about this movie and how people are going to show up. Because also, like, what do we have opening this weekend?
Not much.
Yeah,
Like,
that's another thing.
There was something else opening this weekend, but I can't even remember what it was.
And that's Mandy.
Mandy.
Yes, it's a big showdown between Megan and Mandy. So I think that's also part of the equation that we have to look at is when it's a slow weekend at the movies, what are people's options? And if people don't have some big tentpole movie to that's going to occupy their space in their mind to go to see, they're going to go see whatever is being publicized. And right now, this has got a great publicity push behind it. I'm really excited because the star of this movie, a young Violet McGraw, a name that you may not know now, but because she's only 11 years old, but you will know it a lot. Because she has been kind of doing a lot of these movies. She was in Dr. Sleep. She was in an episode of The House on Haunting Hill. She was in a very dark short film called Grummy, also starring with my husband. And it was you can see it on YouTube. It is very dark, and please don't judge my husband for what you see him doing. But I'm really excited to see Violet McGraw, who is going to be a huge star. I'm just saying that right now. She's already headlining studio films. And this also this movie follows along in other successful movies like Child's Play with Chucky, Annabelle, even back to the Twilight Zone. We've seen dolls are scary.
Yeah, if they ever make a Talking Tina movie, I'm not going.
The female audience has always come out in support of good horror films. Yeah. And I think that this is a film that is going to attract the female audience, which is always underestimated. And I think that this movie is going to do well because of that.
All right, guys, question is for you. Megan is coming out this weekend, opens tonight in theaters. Are you planning on seeing it? What's your expectation level? And most importantly, how big do you think it can be this weekend, considering that it has such a modest budget of $12 million? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, we're going to move on now to our main topics. But before we do, we're going to take just a quick second here and thank one of the sponsors of our show here today, HelloFresh. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. Guys, me and my wife Ann are both working professionals, and so sometimes coordinating dinner time can be a real pain. But with HelloFresh, it makes dinner time fun, easy, and nutritious. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Now, guys, we've all got New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals. goals, and HelloFresh is here to help you achieve them. Skip the grocery store and take control of your time and budget with delicious recipes delivered right to your door. With HelloFresh, you get fast and fresh recipes. HelloFresh's latest line of meals featuring robust flavors and filling portions are ready in less than 15 minutes. Enjoy taste and quality done quick with recipes like falafel power bowls, seared steak and potatoes with béarnaise sauce, or Southwest pork and bean burritos. So guys, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea21 and use the promo code Campea21 for 21 free meals plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea21 and use the promo code Campea21. And thank you to our friends at HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's now get into our main topics. And how do we select our main topics here in the show? Well, that's simple. That's where you guys come in, because you guys come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime, 24/7, over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Aaron, what is our first main topic today?
Okay, this one comes to us from Chris P. John Campea family. Proud producer member of the channel. Love you guys. Did you hear the news that Michael Giacchino will make his big screen debut, directing debut, with a take on the 1954 man-eating ants classic, Them? Sounds like it's right in the pocket after Werewolf by Night. Sorry, it's not a movie, Chris. I know Rob will be excited for this one. What do you think? Sounds fun. Bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for that. And of course, Hollywood loves recognizable IP, and going back to some stories. And Them is an old classic about giant ants attacking LA. Brought, of course, by all the great monster movies of that era, from nuclear testing. That was the foundation of all the monster movies from back in the day. But here's the interesting twist. It's Michael Giacchino. The composer is going to be directing this, because he just directed his first little thing. That was, of course, Marvel's Werewolf by Night, which was really impressive. Just a really great stylistic outing, and kind of in the vein of a Them, if they wanted to do that. So Michael is going to be now directing this remake. This comes to us from the folks over at CBR, who wrote the following. Michael Giacchino quoted as saying, "There's always a movie in your mind that never leaves your head. For me, that's Them. It wasn't until much later in life until I learned what it was about, the nuclear age," Giacchino said. "What I love about Them is exactly what it's called, Them. It's about the other, the unknown, which one refuses or can't understand. Like the planned reboot, the original Them was a Warner Brothers production directed by Gordon Douglas. The film released in theaters in 1954. It centers on a group of giant irradiated ants that are discovered in the New Mexico desert, with the insects having been mutated by the first atomic bomb test that took place near, I don't know how to say that, in 1954.
Alamogordo.
Or 1945. How do you say it?
Alamogordo.
Sure. A national search begins when it is discovered that 2 queen ants and their consorts have escaped to create new nests, culminating in a climactic battle in Los Angeles, California.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, this is the type of
Tell
movie
you
that
what.
people go to the movies to see. You put this out now, I think it's great. And listen, again, they didn't do what other studios have made the mistake of doing, taking somebody who's never directed a film and just handing them some big blockbuster. Michael instead got given this special presentation, under an hour-long thing, Werewolf by Night, stylized, and he knocked it out of the park. And then they were able to go, there you go. This guy can handle this. And now we're going to get something like this. This sounds fun to me. Rob, I'm sure you're probably over the moon about this. What do you think?
Dude, first of all, for those who grew up with Them, Them was truly one of the great classic 50s monster movies. It was genuinely scary. If anyone knows the movie, the sound of the ants was the scariest shit you'd ever heard when you were a kid. And it legitimately it was terrifying. I mean, it was really, really, really good. It's easily one of the best of those films, if not the best. So to see Michael Giacchino come on and take this on is, after seeing The Werewolf by Night, perfect. The big question that I have is, I know we look at this now and laugh. and in the way it was billed. But the thing is, this was played pretty damn straight. My question is, like, my friend Mike Mendez directed a movie called Big Ass Spider.
Oh,
A
jeez.
giant spider. Greg Grunberg's in it. And I wonder how they're going to do this. Are they going to play it straight? I hope they do, because Werewolf by Night, while it had humor in it, it played pretty straight. So I'm curious as to the tone, what this is going to be, because will it be giant ants or will it be mutated something else? I don't know. But all I can tell you, John, I love this. And if this comes out in 2024, it'll come out for the 70th anniversary of the release of them, the original.
That's probably part of the plan.
Yeah, that's probably, and that's,
That's probably problem. I mean, they're always saying about the marketing angles on this. Aaron, you hear about this? What do you think?
Well, what I loved in the chat is Marcus Way said it's a sequel to Oppenheimer. Funny.
Same studio. Make it happen.
This was, as you know, this is not my wheelhouse, but I did go on YouTube last night. And if you want just like a quick refresher of the movie without investing a whole evening into watching it, YouTube actually has like an 11-minute compilation of the whole movie that I was like, all right, let me watch this and see if this is something. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you're absolutely right. They do play it very straight. And it's kind of like going back and watching the first Terminator when you see Arnold looking in the mirror and you go, oh my God, that CGI is terrible. And then you realize CGI hadn't been invented, and at the time it was groundbreaking. When we look at these classic monster movies from the 50s, if you look at it from the lens of what people had access to film-wise in the 50s, this was, to see that giant practical ant like that is, you had the Blob. Robert, you could probably go on for days about all those
the beginning of the end was about giant grasshoppers.
I still don't know how they did Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is a style of filmmaking that I'm so excited to see how they're going to do it. And of course, it has to be played straight. I think if you play into a humorous aspect of it, it's too easy. I'm really excited, especially because Werewolf by Night was brilliant. I was actually telling Tom about it this morning because he hadn't seen it. I said, man, you have to watch that. It's so beautifully done. And knowing that this is the same director makes me very excited to see this.
What did you guys think of Eight-Legged Freaks?
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of Eight-Legged Freaks, to be honest. I know it's got a cult classic thing, and obviously Aaron will never watch that
Never. I have a friend who was in the movie, and I was like, love you. Nope, not going to be happening. Nope.
I think that there's a real place. Ecological horror has to come back. I want to see some of that. There was Arachnophobia, there was an Amblin movie. Bring back ecological catastrophe movies. Come on. This could be one of the first.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Hot off the heels of his success, huge success, really, with Werewolf by Night, Michael Giacchino is now doing them. Are you excited for it? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? Aaron, what is our second main topic today?
This is from LBM, who says, hey, John and crew. John, I know you don't watch the Arrowverse anymore, but did you hear that Stephen Amell is returning as Green Arrow in The Flash's final season? I absolutely love this news, and this makes me even more excited to see The Flash's final run. What are your thoughts on this? Thanks, and bring the filth on. Well, that's a way of saying it.
That's one way of saying it. All right, LBM, thanks a lot for saying that in. Okay, so listen, and as much as the Arrowverse on CW has really fallen into disarray over the last number of years, and it's kind of going out now with a bit of a whimper. The reality is, I think a few years from now, when we look back on the era of the Arrowverse, it was really quite a huge success for CW. And while not everything they did was great, they certainly had a lot of great in it. And it all started off with that show, Arrow. Arrow was a show that I thought, this is a dumb idea for a show, and it instantly won me over. It really did. Due in no small part because of good Canadian kid Stephen Amell, who kind of came into that role, and you watch Stephen Amell as that show progressed, really grow into the role, kind of took it over and became a favorite of mine. I fell away from the show because the writers really started doing a disservice to it once you got about halfway through season 3 and everything. But I loved that show. And again, in no small part because of Stephen Amell. Then they were bringing in the Flash. They were doing a spin-off the Flash, which I again said, well, this is a stupid idea. And then they brought in Grant Gustin. They introduced him on Arrow. And I'm like, you know what? I really like this show. And I got totally on board with that. The idea now that as the Arrowverse winds to a close, to bring Stephen Amell back in Flash is completely appropriate. And that's what the reports are now telling us, that Stephen Amell is coming back to do, one last hurrah as Oliver Queen in the final days of the Arrowverse. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who wrote the following. Stephen Amell will return one more time as Oliver Queen, a.k.a. the Green Arrow, for the 9th and final season of The Flash. Variety's confirmed the actor will appear in episode 909. As soon as our final season was announced, we knew we wanted Stephen to come back and reprise his iconic role as Oliver Queen. After all, it was Oliver who originally launched Barry Allen on his heroic path. That's why everyone on Team Flash felt so strongly that it was important to create a full circle moment with Oliver's returning in the final season of The Flash, said executive producer Eric Wallace. And again, that came to us from Variety. So the first thing we need to point out is, while, yeah, the headlines are true, Stephen Amell returns as Arrow for the final season of The Flash. It's for one episode. Like, if you're like me, I kind of got excited because I actually started thinking for a split second about watching this season of The Flash, something I'm probably not going to do. I will watch episode 909, though. But if you're like me, you probably thought Stephen Amell's coming. He's going to be a part of the big story of the final season of Flash. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It is going to be for one episode, and apparently one episode alone. Still, that's enough to give this guy who kind of bailed on Flash a show that overall I really enjoyed. I just felt like it finished its run a year or two ago. So I have no plans on watching this season, but it's enough to get me to at least tune in to watch that episode to see not just Stephen, but to see Stephen and Grant together again on screen, because I loved for a number of years going back and watching the big Arrowverse crossovers every year until they totally blew it with their Elseworlds one, but whatever. Look, I think this is a really smart move on their part. It was Stephen's Arrow character that launched the whole Arrowverse, that there could not have been a Flash show without Arrow. To have him come back is completely appropriate. And by the way, I mean, yes, full disclosure, I am a big Stephen Amell fan. I not only as a performer, but I just think the dude is a top-notch person. You can bring up that image there, Jonathan, but he has been incredibly generous coming in to, do you have my screen there?
Oh, I thought you meant, gotcha.
Yeah, so he has been, over the years, he's been incredibly generous. The first time I spoke with Stephen Amell is because Ann and I were doing a little Arrow after show. This is back when I was just doing my own little YouTube channel, whatever. And I started getting people telling me in the live chat, somebody tell John Stephen Amell's trying to get a hold of him. I'm like, what? And sure enough, Stephen Amell had, I guess, put on Twitter saying, somebody tell John Campea I'm trying to reach him. So I got on Twitter, we connected, he called in on the show, and then we had him come in and we did some sit downs in the studio. He was always there's Corey getting a little too friendly with Steven, I think. By the way, Steven, Corey, and Ann, that's Ann there as well. They were all drinking that night. As we were doing the show, they were all constantly doing shots. I was the only sober one. At any rate, he has always been fabulous. I've told the story before about how he took time off set to go to his trailer to record this big birthday message for Ann. He's just got that kind of character. Good Canadian kid. And so I will, of course, be tuning in to watch that episode. Probably just that episode, but I'll be definitely tuning in to check him out there. Anyway, Rob, you hear about Stephen Amell coming back for one last hurrah in The Flash as it goes out. What do you think?
Who doesn't love that? Come on. I mean, why not? It ends where it began. So it's full circle. I like that. Plus, I really like his portrayal of the character. I even have a So-So Toys figure of him. Not Hot Toys never made one, but So-So Toys.
Right. What are they called again? The Green Vigilante?
Yes, the Green
Vigilante is what they call it.
Yes, and it's a great figure.
It is.
It's a great figure, and I know, but he's great. I mean, I really liked him in the role. I think a lot of the CW shows outlived their welcome. They kind of went a little further, but he was great in the role, and that's great that he's coming back. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, I think the fans are really gonna like that. Yeah. Anyway, Aaron, you heard as one of the stars of The Flash.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for you to tell me that you are also returning to reprise your role as Block in the Flash. Is it going to be the same episode as Stephen Amell?
Yes, Stephen Amell. Actually, Arrow and Oliver Queen and Block have a passionate love affair in episode 909.
Fantastic.
Oh, wait, that's right. They killed me. Yes. We were trying to get it trending. Hashtag bring
Justice
back
for Block.
Justice
Hashtag
for
Justice
Block.
for
And then
Block.
all of a sudden, Block was my character's name in the show. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not dead. I'm just like hanging out in a hospital. And then apparently one episode, they were like, hey, whatever happened to that Block girl? And they were like, oh yeah, she's dead. Anyway, moving on. Like, darn it. But yeah, this is fantastic news. You know, we actually talked years ago on this show about how Stephen Amell was frustrated with his final scene as Oliver Queen.
Yeah, the way they wrote his ending.
Yeah, the way that they wrote it, the way that it was kind of like the last episode of the day, and he was acting opposite tennis balls because they sent all the other actors home. And, you know, that's not a great experience for any actor to have, but definitely not for your final scene as such an iconic character. So hopefully this gives him a chance to put on the suit again and to get some proper closure with that role. But also, let's face it, it's called the Arrowverse. It's not called the Flashverse. There's a reason why... even though, yes, it was the first show that launched many other shows behind it, it's not just known as the Arrowverse because of that. It's known as the Arrowverse because that really, like you said, was the thing that started it all. And I too wish that they were utilizing him for more of the season. But you know, I think it's great for fans to be. I'm going to be really interested to see who else they're going to be bringing back. Obviously not Block, but not selfishly. It'll be interesting to see what other familiar faces from the world of the Arrowverse, from the Arrowverse itself, that will be coming back to delight fans.
Yeah, and there could be a bunch of them, but I think we all agree the one they had to do is bring back Oliver. I mean, look, too, he was also, and I know some people criticized CW for this, but I thought it was the best move they could have made. They actually made Oliver the Batman of the Arrowverse. He really was the Batman. He was the one guy without powers, but that everybody else seemed to worry about. And I really like that approach that they took with him there. Anyway, it's going to be great to see him back. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Are you still watching Flash? Are you like me and you bailed on it a while ago? Maybe you never watched it at all. Are you interested in tuning in at least episode 909 to see Oliver and Barry reunited? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? Aaron, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Talford. Read a really interesting article on Variety that read like the plot on Succession. Apparently, behind the scenes, Dwayne Johnson and his team were making a power play for control of DC before James Gunn took over, and some people were pretty unhappy with it. It also outlines that Dwayne's demands got bigger and bigger before everything ultimately fell apart. What do you guys think of this story, and how do you think everything would have looked different had he succeeded?
All right, Talford, thanks a lot for sending that in. Okay, yeah. So a Variety article, a pretty big Variety article came out yesterday. And we're going to be talking about something else in that article in just a few minutes. But it was an article that kind of highlighted and outlined. We can bring that article up here, Jonathan. It was an article that kind of highlighted and outlined some of the things that was going down prior to James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC. Now, in the build-up to Black Adam, and before James Gunn and Peter Safran were announced as taking over DC, there were a number of people online speculating that Dwayne Johnson was trying to take over DC. And, you know, that was kind of supported a little bit by some statements that Dwayne Johnson made. He goes, I would love to be able to consult on the future of DC. Remember, he made those public comments, and we talked about them on the show and whether or not they're appropriate. But apparently, according to this article, it was more than that. He was really trying to angle kind of being able to set the direction for DC, and he wanted the ultimate direction of DC to unsurprisingly revolve around his character, Black Adam, and a buildup with Superman. This is some quotes from that Variety article, and I would encourage everybody to go and check out that article themselves because there's a lot in it, but here's some of the more interesting parts. This comes to us from Variety, who wrote the following. Behind the scenes, a different group made a play for control of DC. Dwayne Johnson directly pitched CEO David Zaslav on a multi-year plan for Black Adam and a Cavill-led Superman. Of course, they were both being represented. Their manager is Dwayne Johnson's ex-wife. Cavill has left Dwayne Johnson's ex-wife as his manager in the meantime, but at the time, pitched CEO David Zaslav on a multi-year plan for Black Adam and a Cavill-led Superman, in which the two properties would interweave, setting up a Superman versus Black Adam showdown. Although the move took place amid a power vacuum created as former DC head Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers film chief Toby Emmerich prepared to exit, it ruffled feathers internally, sources said. Dwayne went around everyone, which did not sit well, says one source. Meanwhile, the Johnson-Warner's relationship already was wearing thin after Johnson pushed for a producing credit on the animated film DC League of Super Pets, which opened in July but did little to promote the film. The actor also insisted on a tequila bar at the New York premiere of Black Adam featuring his Terramana brand, despite the film being rated PG-13. His demands increased and the returns just weren't there, notes another insider. All right. So, a couple of little detail things here. What would it have looked like? Number one, that was a dumb idea for them, for that. If the story is true, that was a stupid idea for DC for them to try that. Dwayne Johnson and his team were promoting that. Let's build it all around Black Adam. Black Adam and Superman is the whole big buildup is Black Adam, Superman. A secondary character in a secondary character's comic. I mean, Black Adam is a great character, very cool character, but he is a secondary character in another secondary character's comic, Shazam. And for the whole idea to step in there, yeah, but it's my character. Let's build the whole DC universe around this. But hey, what do you always say, Rob? It ain't about what you deserve. It's about what you negotiate. And while some people are bagging on Dwayne Johnson for this, and I think it was a stupid idea. Listen, if you've got currency in your business, whatever your business is, leverage it. Why not? I don't blame Dwayne Johnson. While I do think it was a dumb idea, I don't blame Dwayne Johnson one bit to go, hey, you know what? I've got a certain amount of leverage here. I have a certain amount of weight. I'm going to utilize my leverage and utilize my weight to try to get what I think would be good for me. I don't blame him for that. That's what everybody does. And that Dwayne Johnson's no exception. I just think it was a particularly stupid idea. Also, it kind of sounds like maybe he wasn't going about it right. Where like there are certain, executives of Warner Brothers saying, yeah, he was bypassing all the proper channels and just trying to use his clout to get a direct line to David Zaslav and pitch things there. Clearly that didn't work as they decided to go into a different direction. So it sounds like this big play for the throne went down badly. Dwayne Johnson did not get what he wanted. And it sounds like some cooler heads over at Warner Brothers prevailed going, Dwayne, you're a huge, mega, fantastic movie star. You do not set policy here, though. You don't set the direction for what we're doing. And thanks for pitching your idea, but it's not what we're going to go with. And again, I don't think anybody should blame him for trying. I mean, hey, take your shot. Take your shot. If Eminem's songs teach you nothing, take your shot. You're going to capture it or you're just going to let it go. You got to take advantage of those things. And he took his shot and it didn't work. He missed. And now James Gunn is sitting on the throne. Black Adam is gone. I mean, again, we didn't support it. It didn't make $400 million. But anyway, Rob, it's a really interesting article that highlights a number of things. And the person who wrote it is not wrong. There's some Game of Thrones Succession level stuff going on here. What was your takeaway from this story?
I don't see it quite the way you do because, in Dwayne Johnson's mind, he's the biggest movie star in the world. I think he was thinking more along the lines of Iron Man. That Iron Man, back in 2008, Iron Man wasn't necessarily considered a household hero. And what Dwayne wanted to do was leverage he wanted to play this role for over a decade. So he was thinking about it for a long time. And I'm sure he also talked about how he was thinking about Superman. I think he was thinking about, in terms of Black Adam, a trilogy of movies. And, that, why not? We've had these superheroes. And he, like you said, he has his clout. If you look at the pictures of him in his suit, this picture and the previous one that Jonathan had up, he looks great.
Oh, he
as the
looks
character.
fantastic.
And I think that what he was trying to do was sound. It wasn't like out of left field demanding something that he shouldn't demand. Like you said, he had the clout. He wanted to go in and do this thing. But when you're equating having a tequila bar at a premiere with trying to get your 3 movies made, anybody in Hollywood worth their salt, when you have access to David Zaslav and you can walk right into the top. I mean, the reason the creative executives are always worried about people going around them is because none of them matter. They're all scared about their jobs. They're all terrified. You can have senior VPs can have their heads cut off at any 1 minute. The only person that matters is the president of the studio, because everyone else is scary. So Dwayne Johnson, I don't want to talk to you functionaries. I need to go to David Zaslav because he's the one ultimately that's going to make the decision. And I'm Dwayne Johnson. I'm going to do it. So I don't begrudge him that. The problem was that Black Adam wasn't a good movie. And they had to do $40 million of reshoots on it. So I don't know when they had to have been making this movie before Zaslav took over or something. The biggest problem here is ultimately the work has to be great. You can have all the clout in the world. You can be the biggest movie star in the world. But if your work is substandard, all of it relies on you winning. Like you say, winning cures everything. It cures everything. And the problem was you've got the star, he looks great, but the movie was bad. And what if David Zaslav said, yeah, let's do that. And then Black Adam, the way it is made, comes out. And it's bad. There goes your plans for movies 2 and 3. And that's basically exactly what happened.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because when you brought up the Iron Man scenario, right? I was going to say, but you said it yourself, that there's a couple of big functionally different things in the Iron Man situation. First of all, number one, Marvel basically led off with Iron Man, right? Yep. It's not like there had been 7 years of the MCU before Iron Man came along and they went out and got this, actor who's trying to, recover his public image and Robert Downey Jr. They led off with it. And the second thing, of course, was everybody loved that movie.
Well, yeah.
Everybody loved the movie. And by the way, I like Black Adam. It has some big problems, but I like the movie.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, Dwayne Johnson was great for this role. I think, and I thought that they had a great director who's proven himself over and over again that had worked with Dwayne before. Well, like on Jungle Cruise, the problem was the screenplay. You had everything else, but if you don't have a solid script, and I think what they were trying to do, I don't think that he was trying to take over the whole of DC. What he wanted to do was he wanted to fight Superman. That's what he wanted.
But essentially, though, like when it comes down to it, you are essentially trying to take control of the whole narrative, because now if you're trying to build up your thing where it's your character and Superman,
sure,
and everything's building up that, then the rest of the DCU is going to have to kind of fall in line with that.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't think he was looking for the president or the CEO of DC Studios job per se, but I mean,
look, I do mourn for the idea, think about what happened in things like Kingdom Come that we didn't get. I wish Black Adam was great, made $1 billion. Because I would love to have seen it. I think we all do, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I would love to have seen it. I think we all would, and it's kind of a bummer but it's kind of gross, I think, how there's all these recriminations now. Now that the movie failed, let's all, there's the backbiting and the infighting.
That's what it is, right? Winning cures everything.
Yeah, and losing.
But losing opens up the bucket of shit.
Yes.
It just, everybody, once something loses, everybody starts coming out of the woodwork to take their pound of flesh. Everything becomes a nightmare. When you win, all the problems, all the issues, all the disruptions, all of it's glossed over. And
I mean, it's so funny to hear unnamed studio source going, well, Dwayne Johnson ruffled feathers. It's like, because you're irrelevant. You're all irrelevant. But only what's president of the studio matters.
Here's the thing, though. I bet you when you're a guy like David Zaslav, who you are, number one, tight ship.
That's right.
I bet David Zaslav didn't appreciate it either. Like I guarantee, like David Zaslav, like, hey, you know what? I set up a structure for a reason. And
you might be right about that. But here's the thing. I also think you can appreciate when David Zaslav landed in Hollywood. What did he do? He went and talked to all these people.
He did on his big listening tour.
It's not like Dwayne Johnson was some B-list actor who walked into it. He's the number one movie star in the world.
Yeah, that's why I don't begrudge him for this. I really don't.
And I would not say that everybody should go in and talk to David Zaslav. There's a reason why things are set in place, and having friends that work at studios, whether they're senior VPs or whatever, that's always a good thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but if you're Dwayne Johnson, then you walk in.
Yeah, guess
to
what?
Zaslav.
My phone rings 10 times a day. I look at it, and unless it says Ann Campea on it,
Or Aaron Cummings.
or of course Aaron Cummings,
You better take my call.
I think to myself, I'll get back that. If you look down on your phone and the caller ID says Dwayne Johnson, I don't care if you're David Zaslav or Bob Iger or well, you answer the phone. Anyway, Aaron, as somebody who has, you've worked in movies and on TV shows where there's been a lot of, studio level drama
always
going
bypass the bullshit and go straight into Zaslav's
on. Go
office.
straight to the studio heads thing.
We need to talk.
What's your takeaway from this story?
Yeah, I agree with you guys, man. If you shoot your shot, what's the worst that can happen? You get told no, and you just keep, being a multimillionaire and living in a huge house and making movies. I don't see anything wrong with this. First of all, the whole thing about, it serves as tequila at a PG-13. Who cares?
Right.
Oh my God, alcohol served at every premiere. I've been to G-rated animation movie premieres.
That didn't even make sense in terms of like a premiere where it's all adults and people in the industry going.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
It's not a family. I mean, maybe Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos and their 17 kids are going, but for the most part, you're exactly right.
Please,
it's adults. It's industry.
People show up
premiere
drunk on the
party's
red
sponsored.
People show up drunk on the red carpet at Disney premieres. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think there's more to the thing why one of the things that might have ruffled some feathers, and I get this, about insisting, even though you did not do the work of a producer, insisting you get a producer credit.
Well,
Hold on.
And then not go ahead and promote it.
That's why I also want to defend that, because the reality is a big part of the job of a producer is to get financing for the movie. And if you are someone like Dwayne Johnson and just you being in the movie automatically opens up hundreds of millions of dollars in overseas financing, which
I don't think that was the case here, though. I think this was a movie that was already in animation and production. It was given a go ahead before Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson came on board with it. So I don't think that was the case for this one circumstance.
But I know actors personally who if I said their name right now, you'd be like, I've never heard of that person. And they get a producer credit for every single project that they're in.
Oh, there is? It's total reality.
As Robert says, it's not what you
deserve, it's what you negotiate.
It's not what you deserve, it's what you negotiate. And if you have the ability to go, hey, I've gotten a producer credit on my last 4 movies, and if you want me to be in this movie, even if you're not going to see my face, you're going to hear my voice, I want a producer credit on that, why not ask for it? You're not going to get what you don't ask for.
And also, it's not just a vanity thing. He's getting some cash.
Exactly.
He's getting some cheddar
Which
from
is
that.
part of why they got frustrated that he wasn't doing more to promote the movie afterwards.
Yeah, that in hindsight, and that's the thing is usually those things also are contractually worked out. It's like, okay, if we're going to do XYZ, this is what we expect from you in the world of publicity. The idea that an actor is just supposed to do publicity after they've already shot the film because you don't get paid for publicity. You do that to promote the film so it does better. So if they had specific things that they wanted him to do, knowing that he was going to be promoting Black Adam and not wanting to be spending a lot of his capital promoting Secret Life of Pets, that should have been something that they put into the contract.
But I think that's why they got frustrated when they gave him the producer credit and he still wouldn't do it.
But you know what? He did come out at CinemaCon and he promoted DC Super Pets.
Yeah, he spoke a lot more about Black Adam than he did about Super Pets.
Well, sure, but he's still working for the same studio.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And he even said, we're really proud of Super Pets, and he's always on social media.
And they even put in that post-credit. Do you remember the post-credit scene?
Yeah.
They even put that in for him. They put that to help promote his Black Adam movie.
But it's like, what do they want as far as him promoting it? Because no other producers are out there promoting it.
We're going off the rails here a little bit into a whole bunch of different things.
How dare he, sir? How dare he?
I'm okay with him asking for it.
Me too.
Vin Diesel asked for a lot of things after the first Fast movie that they were like, screw you, you're crazy. We'll just go get somebody else. And he was like, cool. Go do that. And then when they came crawling back to him, we're like, just kidding, we need you. Not only did they have to give him everything that they asked for, but they had to give him a whole bunch more. So you know what, Dwayne? Shoot your shot, get what you want, get what you deserve. And you know what? If you don't get it, oh well, better luck next time. I'm not worried about Dwayne Johnson.
No, nobody should be worried about Dwayne Johnson. But it does need to be pointed out that my second favorite movie star in the world, who is everybody knows is Dwayne Johnson. This is the first time I can ever remember in his 20 plus year career that there is negative narrative going on
Yeah.
about Dwayne
Yep.
Johnson.
It is interesting.
And again, if Black, to your point, if Black Adam had been $1 billion film, none of this would be being talked about right now, because winning cures everything.
Which is
But-
why I wonder why he wouldn't have had Black Adam come out, do great, and then go,
Yeah, because that
And
was,
try
that was
to
the
have
whole
more
dark
of a-
universe, right? Remember when Universal tried to get their dark universe going? It's like they started doing all this stuff before the first movie even came out.
yeah.
So if Dwayne Johnson kind of like held back, maybe, well, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because the movie didn't even make $400 million.
And if he didn't make it all about Black Adam.
yeah,
And also, it's the $40 million of reshoots, too.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was, but that's where all this began.
But listen, don't worry. But like, I think this is the first time ever that Dwayne Johnson is having to deal with a little bit of adversity when it comes to his image and how people perceive him and all that kind of stuff. But he's got so much clout saved up. I think he's going to be able to weather this just fine. And I will look forward to seeing the next Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole story? I think it's actually really fascinating about how things work and don't work and who does what. How are you feeling about this? What's your big takeaway from it? Whatever you guys are feeling, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into our fourth and final main topic here today, shall we? Aaron, what is our fourth main topic today?
Our fourth main topic is from Serene. Hi, John and crew. In a recent Variety article, we were just talking about that, about the behind-the-scenes drama with Dwayne Johnson, that same article also mentioned the possibility of Ezra Miller staying on as given Miller has stayed out of trouble since beginning mental health treatment, some executives are amenable to continuing with the actor as the world-saving speedster, end quote. I'm glad Ezra is getting help, but given the long-established pattern of their troubling behavior, continuing with them as the Flash doesn't seem like a good idea. Will Warner Brothers actually keep Ezra as Flash? Thanks.
All right, Serene, thanks a lot for saying that in. And, it was funny. It was after we were done the John Campea Show yesterday. I started getting messages from people saying, John, Warner Brothers is considering keeping Ezra Miller. And I dismissed the first couple that came in, but then I got more. And I thought, well, I better look into this a little bit. And sure enough, it came from that same Variety article. The article surrounding Dwayne Johnson and everything, buried in that was a paragraph that addressed this. Now, of course, look, the Ezra Miller drama has been going on for years now. And it's not just one thing, or two things, or three things, or four things, or five things. And it's not even just a matter of a couple of stupid tweets that they made. It's like actual, tangible, in some cases horrific, things that they have done over the past couple of years, or allegedly did over the past couple of years, that has created a real big problem that, quite frankly, the previous regime of Warner Brothers should have dealt with. When we got to the point now with the new regime of Warner Brothers, at this point, there's really nothing that can be done other than get their movie out as quickly as they can, and hopefully it'll do well, and bring this movie that Andy Muschietti has spent years putting together, and try to give it as much success as you can. Well, this article comes out with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of course, and the details start coming out that are a little bit more, there's a spicy line in it. And that is this. This comes to us from Variety. This is in that same article with Dwayne Johnson where this little tidbit is thrown in there. As for what else Gunn and Peter Safran have planned for DC's futures, sources describe it as a broad but not blanket reset. At this point, nothing is ruled out. Given that Miller has stayed out of trouble since beginning mental health treatment in the summer, some executives at Warner Brothers are amenable to continuing with the actor as the world-saving speedster after The Flash comes out in theaters on June 16th. There are some executives, remember, this is not coming from Gus's gas station movie reviews.fark. This is coming to us from Variety, who do have personal relationships with all the executives at all the studios, and saying some of the executives of Warner Brothers are open to the idea of Ezra retaining their role as the Flash after Andy Muschietti's Flash movie comes out. All right. I want to look at this from 2 points of view, okay? And I'm going to start with the point of view about why I don't think this is anything to worry about. And then I'll get onto the point of view about why I might be worried. On the point of view about why it's not something to be worried about, anybody and their three-legged dog knows that you cannot bring back Ezra Miller. You can't bring back Ezra Miller. You are dumb as fuck if you even think for a second about bringing back Ezra Miller. How stupid do you need to be? What kind of morons does David Zaslav have working for him that would even think for a second that you can bring back Ezra Miller? This is one of the most butt-fuck stupid things I have ever heard. You cannot do that. And the fact that there are a couple, to me, that's a fireable offense. The fact that you're so stupid and you work at this company, you're gone. Anyway. Now, I'm not somebody who does not believe in second chances. Absolutely, I do. But I also believe in accountability. And I believe that I love the fact that Ezra Miller put themselves into therapy. I love the fact that Ezra Miller is getting the help that they need. I love all that. And I even hope that after accountability and, consequences are faced for their actions, that once all that is dealt with, accepted, administered, and all that kind of stuff, that somewhere down the line, there is a redemption arc for Ezra Miller, and Ezra Miller's able to resume their career at some point and move on and move forward, and I hope for all that. I hope for really good things. I really do. But accountability dictates that you have disqualified yourself at this point from playing this character. Like, the movie was already shot. I mean, there's nothing you can do with that. The movie was made, the money was spent. It is what it is. The movie's got to come out. But that's that. The reason I'm not worried about it is because, and we touched on this on the on our play and chat yesterday. It's one thing if some executives at Warner Brothers are open to the idea of Ezra Miller coming back. That's fine. They don't matter. There are only two people whose opinions matter. That's James Gunn and Peter Safran. Because unlike Kevin Feige at Marvel, who has several layers of management between him and Bob Iger, which I think Bob Iger's going to be getting rid of those middle management layers pretty quick. But James Gunn only answers to one person, and that is David Zaslav. That's it. And David Zaslav gives a lot of autonomy to his generals. The people who run the various studios, he gives them a lot of autonomy. So it doesn't matter if there's a couple of ignorant, stupid, moronic executives of Warner Brothers running around going, you know what, maybe we can still have Ezra. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, what does James Gunn want to do? What does Peter Safran want to do? That's all that matters. Nobody has any authority. Nobody can tell James Gunn and Peter Safran what to do other than David Zaslav. And David Zaslav don't do that. Unless it's something that affects a company as a whole, which something like this maybe could, I suppose you could make an argument for. So it doesn't matter that a couple of Warner Brothers executives would be open to the idea of him coming back. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's like saying, well, I heard Ray is open to the idea of
Ray. What are you open to?
I don't know. What's the dumbest thing that we could possibly do here? That Ray is open to the idea of us investing heavily into Cineworld. Well, that's great that Ray thinks that, but here I'm the one who makes that decision.
Have we checked its market cap today?
Yeah, not yet, but maybe we should. So that's all okay, and that's fine. Now, let's go to the part to be worried about. And the part to be worried about is this. And look, James Gunn has already shown the fact that he is a long-term, big picture thinker, all that kind of stuff. He's making leadership moves that are bold, decisive, and show a view of the long term, not the short term. There is no way James Gunn does this. I have 1,000% confidence that there's no way James Gunn would be this short-sighted and do something this dumb. But I will tell you this, as a fan, were they to keep Ezra Miller on as Flash following this movie, The Flash, I'm done. I'm done with DC. If they're going to be that tone deaf, if they're going to be that blind, if they're going to be that ignorant, and this is not me, but unless you make Superman fight this guy, I don't want, no, this isn't about what they do creatively. I'm not talking about what they do creatively in their universe and stuff like that. Do what you want to do, and hopefully we love it. I'm talking, there's a bigger picture here than just what they do in the movies. it would be such a bad precedent that at the very minimum, I would be done with watching any movie they would put Ezra Miller in, and maybe done with DC as a whole. But again, James Gunn is way too smart for this. Rob, I brought this up with you. I'm the one who came to you yesterday. I said, did you see this? I don't know. What's your thoughts on all this?
Well, look, I have heard that even during the production of The Flash, that Ezra Miller was not exactly the easiest
Yeah, we heard
person
stuff about that.
to work with. And they are not as responsible necessarily as they should be when it comes to being on set. And that leads me to believe that this is going to be a one and done movie, as good as it possibly could be. I'm hoping it's great because
it's on both of our most anticipated lists.
yeah, I
this
mean,
year.
I'm really anticipating it, and I'm hoping it's a great movie. And for me, it doesn't matter if there's not going to be a furthering of the Flash universe or the DC universe in this iteration, because a great movie is a great movie. If we get a great Flash movie, look, I love The Rocketeer, but there was only one of those, and I've never thought, like, I'm not going to watch this movie if I know that the universe isn't going to be extended. I would think that the mandate that Peter Safran and James Gunn, by the way, they said that their plan was a 3-year plan. Like these articles now.
It was in stages. They got their next 3 years
the stages,
perfectly mapped out. Right.
Which is good. But I just think that yes, Ezra Miller will not be coming back. They will not be coming back to the DC universe. I just don't think so. Why would you keep them and not anyone else? It doesn't make sense to me. I just hope the movie's good. I'm glad he's getting the help he needs, and hopefully that they will make sure that this movie, and they're playing two parts. They're playing two different Flashes.
At minimum, two.
Yeah.
There could be more.
They're gonna bring the noise. They're gonna make it so. I love their performance. I'll admit it. I love Ezra Miller as the Flash.
So do I.
Love them. I love them. Even in the CW crossover, it was that
was a fun scene.
I love them. I've loved them since Perks of Being a Wallflower.
By the way, the one thing I do want to point out, because I've been
But they're not coming back.
Yeah, they're not coming back. The one thing I do want to point out is, and you got to put a stop to this, guys, because I've seen some people in the live chat doing this as well. Well, how could you keep Ezra, not Henry Cavill? Guys, the two situations have nothing to do with. Nobody fired Henry Cavill, right? This was a situation of DC decided they didn't want this iteration of Superman anymore because they wanted a new iteration of Superman. Had nothing to do with the actor, had nothing to do with the person. So whether they keep or ditch Ezra Miller because of all of the behavior of Ezra Miller, that has nothing to do with Henry Cavill. Please stop that nonsense. This whole, how can you not keep Henry Cavill if you're going to... The two situations are completely divorced from each other. They have no similarities whatsoever. One has nothing to do with the other. It's not like they got rid of Henry Cavill because of behavioral problems of Henry Cavill. No, it's a completely different set of circumstances, so stop that. Stop trying to equate those two things. It's different stuff. Anyway, Aaron, we go over to you. You've been around over the years. If we've talked about a bunch of the drama surrounding Ezra Miller at this point.
Yes, I have been at I was at the big table then.
You're at the big table, but Variety again. It's not some little jerksquad.com website. It's Variety saying that some executives, Warner Brothers, saying they're open to it. I don't know. What do you think about what's in the story, and what do you ultimately think is going to happen?
I mean, it really goes back to what you said, which is winning cures everything. And I think that because there has been so much speculation about what's going to happen with Ezra Miller, is Ezra still going to be in The Flash? Or are they going to try to, obviously they can't reshoot it, but are they going to try to deep fake him, them with another actor? What are they going to do? What's the studio going to do? And now we have seen, it was very clear at CinemaCon when they did not say anything about Ezra Miller. They were just like, and we have The Flash coming out, and then next up we have this, and just skated right on by it. The studio is just going to hope that the movie comes out and that the character speaks for itself, and that people don't bring all of this up, and that Ezra Miller, the idea that Ezra Miller put themselves into rehab is a laugh. Like, that's a joke. Come on, really? Like, Ezra Miller went, you know what? I think I'm done with breaking into people's homes and smacking women and robbing people and being an overall complete, like, just
Grooming underage girls was fun, but I'm kind of over it.
right. Like, I don't think that Ezra Miller came to the conclusion that it was time to go get some help. I'm pretty sure the studio was like, okay, so we're done with this. You're going to go get some help and you're going to get your shit together because we have a movie to promote. And so that's what you're going to do now. And this was clearly something that was put together by the studio a la 1940 studio system.
Yeah.
Also, I had an acting teacher once who used to always say, you don't ever want to fall under the heading of life's too short. And she said, there's a lot of talent out there. I don't care how talented you are. We have all seen some of the greatest stars, incredibly talented people fall off their pedestal. Kevin Spacey is a classic example. Nobody wants anything to do with Kevin Spacey anymore because he's a rapist. So bye, Kevin, you're done. And he's a brilliant actor. No one can argue that. So for people saying, but Ezra is such a good actor, you know what? I'm in acting class every week with brilliant actors who are not as famous as Ezra Miller. But guess what? They're not getting their shot because we're giving Ezra Miller shot after shot after shot after shot. There are certain cancelable offenses in Hollywood. Okay, you don't say the N-word, you're canceled. You don't, talk about wanting to eat people. Armie Hammer, you're canceled. Like, his consistent bad behavior over and over and over again, getting arrested, having numerous calls, these are not allegations anymore. Like, this is real stuff. And I just wonder how many chances are we going to give somebody? And the reason why I think that certain executives, certain unnamed executives are saying we're keeping that door open is because there is a chance that this movie is going to make a lot of money. And if it does, he's going to be back. He is.
I think they can make $1 billion, they still won't be back. I think this thing will hit $1 billion and they still won't be back. And by the way, it's not going to make $1 billion. Just to be clear.
But I'm saying if it does, there will be a big conversation. If this movie makes a lot of money, if this movie crosses the $1 billion threshold, it's going to be real hard to not have Ezra Miller back as the Flash. It is.
Even then, if it did make $1 billion, they would have to sit down and say, do we realistically think it made $1 billion because of Ezra Miller?
It won't matter. It won't matter.
Oh, it will. It will. That part will. Unless we see the movie and we do go, okay, this movie is going to be incredibly successful because of Ezra Miller, which we haven't seen the movie yet, so we don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I don't think No Way Home made that much money because Tom Holland was in it. It made that much money because you had the other two Spider-Men showing up in it. And then, the argument can be made that it's Michael Keaton as Batman that brought all
Which, to Aaron's point, when we were at CinemaCon and they did show us a big preview of Flash, it was like 80% Michael Keaton and a little bit of Ezra Miller in it.
Right.
They were really
However, with characters like Batman, with characters like Spider-Man, there is already the precedent that new actors take over that role all the time. Mm-hmm. So it is going to be a big conversation because people are going to expect Ezra Miller to come back and play that role. Again, I think a lot of this is just we're going to have to see how much the movie makes, and we're going to have to go from there. My biggest problem is, why are we acting like this is a mental health issue? Okay, I'm on a couple of different medications for my mental health fucketry, and I'm not going out there strangling people.
Well, I mean, look, but to be fair, I don't know Ezra Miller. I don't know Ezra Miller. I have not spent significant hours with Ezra Miller. I am not a mental health therapist. I completely believe there are clearly some mental health issues. I don't believe mental health issues absolve you from accountability.
Right.
And absolve you from there are still consequences to actions. But anyway, that's a question that none of us here are qualified to actually give real commentary on. Anyway, Rob.
I just want to say that I do find it fascinating to see what James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to do with the fact that there are 4 DC movies we're getting this year. We're getting a big DC year this year. And then we're also getting a whole new universe to supplant that. And I think we as film fans and movie pundits and superhero fans, it's going to be an interesting year for all of us. And that's something to look forward to.
Ooh, Neon Monkey Productions said in the chat, Elliot Page as the Flash.
But we talked about that last year. We talked about there was
I can
actually
see that.
That
I
was
can
a
see
trending
that.
thing. That was a trending thing online. All right, guys. Question is for you. You heard the comments coming out from Variety articles saying some Warner Brothers executives might be open to Ezra Miller returning. What do you think about that? Do you think that's something that would actually happen? Do you think this is something, who cares what some certain executives think? Do you think it's something James Gunn is actually going to go for? Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we are now going to go over and start hearing from those of you who are our channel members. A bunch of you guys have been sending in a bunch of chats already, and we're going to get to those in just a second. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank the main sponsor of our show, Ryan Reynolds' own Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you get another 3 months for free. Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM, while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say it is the perfect time to switch. I have absolutely loved using Mint Mobile, and like I've told you guys many times, I am now spending less than 1/3 of what I used to spend under one of the other major mobile carriers. And now with the whole buy 3 months, get 3 months free deal, it's even better. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a select device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months for free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for number one, being the best mobile service I have ever had, and most importantly, for being sponsors of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over. Oh, you got to get back to your desk, don't you? Thank you, Taylor. Walking that fine line of being both my assistant and our guy reading our member chats here. Let's now go over to see what our members have been saying. Taylor, what do we have?
I made it. All right, cast me as the Flash. I don't cause problems. All right, so up first we have Uncle Drew, who gifted 1 John Campea membership, so thank you for that.
For gifting, man. That's awesome.
Let's see. Next up we have Rampage Predacon. Vin Diesel for Black Adam in the new DCU. Take that, Dwayne.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. But listen, James Gunn is the guy of quirky choices. That would be, I mean, but how old is Vin now?
He's in his 50s.
Yeah, Taylor, can you look it up? I think he's like 52 or something like that. Might be a little old to start off as a brand new. Of course, Dwayne
55.
Johnson. What's that?
55.
55.
Wow.
Great for 55.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably a little bit, but I'd be down for
Andrew Tate for Black Adam.
Andrew Tate. All right, what's next?
All right, Morgan Holmes says, money talks. I wouldn't put it past them to continue with Ezra. All they see is money.
But remember, this is the big thing. Let's not forget the person who's ultimately going to make that decision, James Gunn, and his partner, Peter Safran. What James Gunn has been through, right? James Gunn knows firsthand what kind of shitstorm you're inviting into the house when certain issues are done. I mean, he had to very publicly get fired from Disney and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's one of the elements of this we're not really talking about, is that the mindset of a James Gunn, the guy who's ultimately going to be making this choice. Mm-hmm. I don't think James is going to want to go within 100 miles of this. I just don't. But we never know until it actually happens. So who knows? We'll see. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Tim Platt, who says, we often talk about the power of movies, and with everything going on lately, I can't help but think about how influential the Will Smith film Concussion was in bringing about changes to player safety. Did you like this film?
I did like the film.
I did too.
And I was really glad that it brought it. Now, the one thing about that film was it came out after the NFL had already really started addressing the problems that they had had for a lot of years about player health and stuff like that. Any Given Sunday it wasn't about concussions, but Any Given Sunday had this great thing about one of the parts of the movie was like, this guy's clearly hurt and injured and really shouldn't be playing. Whatever, stick him with that needle. Give him that painkiller and just get him back out on the field, whatever. But yeah, it was really good. And I think it was a good primer for people who don't watch football on a regular basis, but watch movies. I think it was a really important message that movie did. Yeah. And he was great in it. I didn't think he deserved an Academy Award nomination for it, but he was wonderful in that movie. All right, what's next?
All right, next is Zach Marcello. Watched the full trailer for You People this morning. Wondering if you all had a chance to watch and what you thought. Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy.
I told Rob this morning, I had to stop watching the trailer at the moment that David Duchovny and who plays
Julia
Louis-Dreyfus show up, because it was kind of like The Office. It was so uncomfortable. And I had to stop watching it. It's not that I didn't like what I was seeing. It's that I got so uncomfortable. I had to stop watching. But you saw the whole thing. You loved it.
I got to tell you, since I saw the teaser for this, when Jonah Hill's sitting down with Eddie Murphy, asking for their daughter's hand in marriage, it kills me. Eddie Murphy's performance kills me. And as the trailer went on, I can't wait to see this movie.
Have you seen the trailer for this, Aaron?
No, this is actually the first that I'm even hearing about.
I did hear about it earlier today.
The cast is great, and basically Jonah Hill plays a guy who has a meet cute with a woman, a black woman. They fall in love, and they're going to get married. And then he has to meet the parents. And it's just
and Eddie Murphy is her
Eddie
father.
Murphy's the father.
Yeah. But
there's a little bit of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah, but Eddie Murphy plays it really straight, and his delivery, I don't know why, it just it slays me. I can't wait. If nothing else, I just want to watch Eddie Murphy's performance because it looks so and different than anything he's ever done. Like he's playing the stern father.
Yeah.
I'm so there for it. It looks so
I love
funny.
that you use the term meet cute, by the way, because I had never heard that term. And then when I was recently in Vancouver hanging out with a bunch of Hallmark actors, they kept referring to the meet cute. And I go, what is that? And they said it's a movie term for like when a couple, like when they bump into each other on the stuff, when they're like, oh, oops, I dropped all my papers.
It's
and
in
whatever.
every single rom-com.
And in this,
but I never heard that term before. A meet cute.
In this movie,
so cute.
Jonah Hill, by the way, apparently works at CAA. They have the Death Star and which is fine. Cut down on. Can we shoot in here? Yes. He gets in the wrong Uber.
Yeah, of course he
True
does.
meet cute.
All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Norman Guerrero, who says, "Hi, Bob. Thanks, Rob and Ray, for teaching me about For All Mankind. I loved each season, and I can't wait for the next one. Any ideas when it comes out, or if it's even in production yet?"
August.
Oh no, it's deep in production.
I thought
August,
I heard
isn't
they
it?
finish. Like I thought
they
it was
might have
done,
finished.
yeah.
They might have finished shooting because it's going to come out July or August.
When's
July,
that,
yeah,
Jonathan?
August.
You saw August?
July, August release, yeah.
I mean,
All right.
Apple kills it. I just saw a trailer from Foundation season 2.
I was so mad because like 3 minutes before the show started, I saw that a new trailer dropped, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I really liked season 1.
Looks good.
I'm very excited to see where they go. All right, what's next?
All right, Jay Master says, "Hey, Rob, by 2024, the great late Paul Allen, sister Jody Allen, announced months ago that she is going to put the Seattle Seahawks up for sale in 2024, which costs billions of dollars. Any thoughts?"
Well, I don't
That's
have
your
the money
hometown
to
team.
buy it. Yeah, I mean, maybe after our
Maybe you
Cineworld stock
invested enough
turns into a
in
meme,
Cineworld.
we'll make enough money. Now, it's funny because Paul Allen and his Vulcan Entertainment Group, I mean, the Experience Music Project, the guy owns the original model of the Enterprise D from Star Trek The Next Generation. He's got so much stuff, and
Star Trek had to get in there.
It's gonna
We're
get-
even talking about the Seahawks, and Star Trek had to get in there.
well,
It's his special skill.
someone's going to buy the Seahawks.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if they'll sell them, but someone's going to buy the Seahawks. It's consistently, Seattleites love the Seahawks, so it's not like a team that's ever going to have attendance problems or anything like that.
All right, what's next?
All right, Chris Patik, I think is how you say it. Are we going to mention the Terramana in Dwayne Johnson's announcement of another Black Adam movie not moving forward as a subtle dig at how all the controversy around the premiere?
No. Because really, until this article came out, I never even heard of the premiere. He's always promoting his tequila.
Always.
Like, it is a tequila, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's always promoting his tequila.
Well,
So,
between
yeah.
like Sammy Hagar and Ryan Reynolds, celebrity alcohol brands are some of the most lucrative businesses you can possibly get into.
Well, look at Casamigos. I mean, that stuff's
I
fun.
mean, where is the Campea Campari or something? I mean, I think we should
No, we
absolutely-
are perfectly happy with our aviation gin. There you go, Ryan. There's a little plug for the aviation
the
there.
Burnett Blue Curacao.
There's already a Sir Robert Burnett's brand.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's from
Burnett's?
England.
Yeah.
It's been around for years.
Gin,
I mean,
right?
But
Burnett?
unfortunately, it's not great.
The Campea Kombucha? No. What's
Campea Kombucha? That'd be.
There we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
All right. What's next?
All right, next up is James Wheeler. Because of my autism, it's very difficult for me to interact with people. Thank you for making it easier for me and for helping me get through my day.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that, man. We appreciate that. Well, thank you for being here and being part of our community. And it's our pleasure to do that. So thanks so much. And
James
thanks
is
for
active
being a
on
member.
Twitter too and stuff.
Nice. All right. What's next?
All right, next up is Chuck the Mystery. I rewatched Requiem
For a dream?
for Krypton.
Oh,
Not what I was expecting either. Rob, it seriously might be the best physical media featured ever. 3 fantastic hours. Also watched FBI's Most Wanted. Aaron, your scenes with Alexa Davalos
Yeah.
were fantastic.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
very nice of you to say.
is this a feature that was on Superman Returns?
Yeah, it's the documentary I made for Superman Returns. It's 3 hours, and there's a 6-hour version too, but it's 3 hours long. Yeah.
And of course, Aaron was on FBI Most Wanted. I had a number of people actually writing in saying that they
Oh.
saw you on it and they go, she was way more prominent in that episode than I thought she was going to be. And everybody seemed to love you on the episode.
My 6th grade drama teacher texted me and she goes, I do not like that wardrobe they have you in. I was like,
Wait a minute, in Texas, they have drama classes in 6th grade?
of course. Yeah. It's like, it's an elective.
We never had that till we were like in grade 11 or 12.
You're kidding.
No, seriously. Like drama wasn't a thing till at least you got into high school.
That's terrible. Oh, yeah. I played the White Witch in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when I was in 8th grade as part of Park Players. It was my first villain role, and I loved it.
Very nice. All right. What's next?
I just wanted to point out some suggestions in the live chat. We have Campea Cola and Campea Cocaine. So we have some options.
Oh, and Campea Creme de Menthe. I like that one from Last Set of Crapton. And John Campzevia from Marcus
Campzevia.
Way. John Campzevia, that's a good one.
All right, our last one comes to us from Rob McDonald. Do you guys think the plan to reboot Superman would have changed if Black Adam made $800 million plus? Or do you think James Gunn would have rebooted it regardless?
It's difficult to say, but here's the thing. If you are the type of executive that you leverage your entire next 10-year plan over the performance of one movie, you shouldn't be in that position. And that's been the problem with Warner Brothers for a lot of years. They've been far too reactionary over momentary things. Oh, this movie did a little bit worse than we thought. Oh, this movie did a little bit better than we thought. Change everything, right? If James Gunn was the type of executive that he would, hold off on the 10-year plan until we see how this one movie does. It doesn't seem, that seems like something a lot of us as movie fans would do. It's not something smart, forward-thinking, long-term, big picture thinking kind of executives do. So probably not. If it made $2 billion, well, then maybe even then you got to reconsider things.
But also, we don't know who these supposed executives were that are relaying this information. I mean, the only 2 people in the conversation were Zaslav and Dwayne Johnson, and I'm pretty sure that they are not the 2 sources for this article. So this information could have also been, passed down through assistants and, secondhand, third hand, etc. So I don't know.
Who knows? All right.
There's a lot of opining there.
All right, well, let's go over to the live questions that our members have been sending in. So let's start from the top there. What do we got?
All right, Shaky Jake 93 says, what is your favorite Christopher Nolan movie? Thanks again, guys, for farming my smiles every day.
I love that
Oh, I like
phrase.
that.
Great.
Farming my smiles.
like that.
Yes, John, feel free to use this term more often. We will. Also, Rob, huge fan of the Burnett work and what you do over there.
Thank you.
I don't say this to try to be, this is how auteur I am. No,
Right.
my favorite Christopher Nolan film is actually Insomnia. I really, really love that movie. After that, clearly The Dark Knight and stuff like that. But yeah, my favorite Christopher Nolan film is Insomnia. What about you?
Inception.
Yeah.
I saw Inception in the theater 8 times.
Woo.
Yeah, I kept going.
Do you have a favorite?
I still
Christopher
don't
Nolan
understand that movie. Mine was Memento. I feel
Memento's
like
great.
Memento is so innovative and exciting and unique and a wonderful introduction to what's his name, the actor? So good.
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. Yeah, so good.
All right, what's next?
From George Orr 86. Did I pronounce that right?
Jorge Ore?
Jorge Or 86. Thank you for being a great distraction this week with all the Hamlin news. Love from Buffalo.
Yeah, again, and I heard the best piece of news, which was apparently he is registering brain activity. I don't want to communicate false information, but I think that's what I heard, which again is when you've got a player down whose heart wasn't beating and they weren't breathing for an extended period of time, the first thing you worry about is what's going on in their brain. So the word coming out where they're saying he's shown improvement, I think that was the big thing. So full fingers still crossed, all thoughts well written.
Tom was telling me about that this morning. Apparently the two big things that they were the most worried were brain activity and lungs, apparently. Lungs. And that the initial unconfirmed information is that so far he's looking good with his lungs and his brain activity. So yes, lots of prayers and crossed fingers for his recovery.
All right, what's next?
From Cody Hunt says, I saw The Whale during the holidays. It absolutely broke me. I had an emotional breakdown after the film was over. Never had an experience like that before. The power of film, man.
Again, the performance that Brendan Fraser brought to it was, it lived up to every expectation I had, which is hard because you start hearing all these things and all of a sudden your expectations were way up here. Now, I didn't love the movie overall as much as you did, but the performance itself, like there are ways he delivers certain lines where your heart weeps. I mean, it was just, I feel safe saying this, he'll never do better because I don't know if it's possible to do better than he did in this particular movie.
And under all of that prosthetic
makeup, all of that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Impressive. All right, what's next?
Tim Platt says, I'm not even a fan of horror, but I just saw the trailer for Megan yesterday and it looks awesome. Haven't been this intrigued by a horror movie since It. Who do you think had the better trailer?
Oh, between It and Megan? It. I mean, Megan had a really good trailer. Had a really good trailer. But I remember the first time we saw the It trailer, which I was very iffy about. It's like, really? Like, we saw the TV movie version and blah, blah, but that first trailer came out with the thing in the sewer. I'm like, I'm going to say the It trailer was better. What do you think?
Well, overall, in general, I would say that the It trailer is better. However, for what Megan is, I don't think they could have had a better trailer for that movie. But overall, I think because it's more broadly appealing to me. But the Megan trailer, I don't think they could have done a much better job. That trailer's dope.
Yeah, it was really
both
good.
of those trailers, and you're like, oh, I got to see that.
All right, what's next?
From DAL, if you could see any movie for the first time again, which one would it be? Thanks, and keep up the great work.
I get asked this all the time.
Yeah.
This question, and it all depends on how it's phrased. Somebody asked me this identical question, but phrased it in such a way that what experience at the theater do you wish you could have had again for the first time? Which is a little bit different. And I had said the first time I watched The Avengers because I explained all that. But the greatest movie ever made, and I put the original three into one category, but it's Star Wars. For me, it's Star Wars.
You know what though? I said that too. But I'm going to go back a little further because I forgot to mention this. Jaws. I was like 8 years old and nobody would take me. My parents wouldn't take me, and I'm like, I was so upset. And then it was for my friend Jeff Swafford's birthday, and we somehow Mr. and Mrs. Swafford, they took us all to see Jaws at the Coliseum Theater in downtown Seattle.
Ballers.
And it was awesome. Like it was one of those movies where everything you imagine as a kid, like when Ben Hubbard's head comes out. Oh man, that was I'd love if I could be 8 years old again and see Jaws.
Aaron, do you got one that you wish you could watch again for the very first time?
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh wow, that's a good one.
It is probably one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time, and I've never seen it in a theater, and I would love to see that again for the first time and just re-experience all those fun characters.
All right, what's next?
From the Legolas, big fan from India. It's 1 a.m. now. Wow, thanks for staying up. Thanks, Rob, for recommending Decision to Leave. I loved it. Why there is no time dilation stuff and different gravity concept. Wait. Why is there no time dilation stuff and different gravity concept in Star Wars?
That comment took a turn.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about one thing. Now we're going to talk about something else.
But scientific accuracy has never been Star Wars strong.
My back hurts. My God, this pie is delicious. Sorry, go.
My back does hurt. No, but Decision Leave's great. I'm glad you saw it. I really love that film. But yeah, time dilation, traveling around the galaxy, people should be way different in terms of their ages from one another. Weren't we the same age? Yeah, but
But then again, that's all. Our current understanding is all based on hypothesis, because the reality is none of us have moved faster than the speed of light.
That is true.
So we don't know what's going to happen.
True.
Plus, Star Wars is meant to be a space opera.
It's
right?
space fantasy.
It's based about the story and the characters and all that kind of stuff.
Hyperspace gets around that pesky time dilation problem.
All right, you got time for a couple more. What's next?
RSJ says, if The Last of Us is a massive success for HBO, do you believe creative veterans might consider...
Whoa.
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
One second.
Instead, I'll just show you my Daenerys Targaryen.
Try that again.
If The Last of Us is a massive success for HBO, do you believe creative veterans might consider the value of video game adaptations? Do you see this year being one of the key time periods where the aforementioned project's success will be a deciding factor for that possibility?
This question is asked every month for the last 15 years. And it's a perfectly legitimate question, but it is a question that comes up every month for the last 15 to 20 years. This new video game movie's coming out, or video game TV show. If this does great, will it do this? Then the next video game adaptation. If this does great, will it do this? Look, I think we are already in a time, the very fact that The Last of Us is being made, the very fact that like these movies and TV shows are being made shows that they are already looking at these IPs.
Super Mario Brothers. Movie.
Exactly. Right? Like they already are looking at them seriously, and they have for a very, very long time. It's just that it's been very, very difficult to make them great. And the main core problem is that although everybody is in denial about this, everybody's in denial. When I tell them the basic problem is those video games did not have a core enough narrative story. I know the story felt great in the game for a game, but the reality is those stories did not have a core enough story to actually make into a workable movie. And everybody goes, no. Yeah, it was. And you can be in denial all you want, but that was it. But now we're getting into an era and an age where the stories are getting so much better. I'm thinking of God of War and God of War Ragnarok. I'm thinking of particularly Uncharted 4, Thief's End. Or Last of Us and the best example, Last of Us 2. Even Red Dead Redemption was pretty good. We're getting into an era now where the stories and narratives in games are advancing a little bit. I heard they're going into development on It Takes Two movie, which that's the first thing Ann and I said when we played the game.
That one? That song?
When
That
we
was a
played the
great
game, we
movie.
were like, you could make a movie out of this because
And
the concept of this is fantastic.
Gran Turismo's coming out.
Yeah.
How many car racing video games they get?
And what's the Eli Roth one with Kate Blanchett? Why am I Borderlands? I think it's Borderlands.
Well, Fallout we were talking about this morning coming out as a
they've got
series.
some so and PlayStation created their entire Sony and PlayStation created an entire movie and television division simply based on the PlayStation IP. So we're already there.
Maybe
we're already
they'll
there.
delve into the Intellivision. We'll get a B-17 bomber movie.
I didn't have an Intellivision. My uncle had an Intellivision.
I loved Sea Battle, Utopia.
I played my first Dungeons and Dragons game on Intellivision.
That was a great game.
All right.
Astro Smash.
What's next?
From Victor Rodriguez. Hey, John and crew. Have you guys been able to check out Jack Ryan season 3? If so, what are your thoughts?
Well, I am, even though I really like Jack Ryan season 1 and 2, I am so over the country super spy is now on the run from his own government. I've seen that 1,000 times, so I've checked out for this season. I'm not gonna watch it. You so excited? Have you checked it out yet?
I watched the first episode. I'm gonna watch it because I like Jack Ryan. I have to say it felt cheap.
Really?
Isn't that a weird thing to say? It just, I don't know. I'll have to watch the rest. It's not fair to judge it by one episode.
All right. What's next?
Expected more, though.
Matt G says, hi, John and gang. Huge fan from London, England. Oh, hey. Have you ever heard of the Jeff Nichols directed film that's in production called Bike Riders?
Yes.
It's about a Midwestern motorcycle club, and this cast is stacked. Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, Michael Shannon, Jodie Comer, Boyd Holbrook, and Norman Reedus. Have you heard anything about this film? I loved Sons of Anarchy, so this has me interested. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
I have heard of it specifically because of its surface similarities to Sons of Anarchy. So people say, John, you love Sons of Anarchy. It's one of my top 3 favorite television shows of all time. And so you love Sons of Anarchy. You've heard about this? You got a great filmmaker, great cast. Norman Reedus was kind of born to play in a biker movie. He really was. But I honestly don't know if it's going to be more like Sons of Anarchy or more like Wild Hogs. I mean, like right now, I just don't know. I don't know. So I don't know anything about it. So I hope it's more like Sons of Anarchy. I'll be down for that. But have you guys heard anything about this?
No, but
No.
I like Jeff Nichols as director.
And I mean,
We'll see.
I love Michael Shannon, and I love all the people in this thing. So I hope it's good. All right, let's do 2 more.
Kyle Fielder says, have you caught up on Mythic Quest? Also, have you caught up on Doom Patrol?
I have not started watching Doom Patrol yet this year. So which is weird because I love that show, but I've not had a chance to start watching it. I am caught up on Mythic Quest. I have loved this season right up until the last episode where Poppy and Ian have their big falling out. And Ann and I watched it. It's like this, it didn't feel good. It was the first episode of Mythic Quest I didn't like. But other than that, I've really liked the season. The episode before that was all 20 years earlier in case of Ian, and like 10 years earlier in the case of Poppy. And they got a little Filipino girl to play Poppy who, okay, you think sometimes a movie does a good job getting a kid to play the younger version of an older actor. I would have sworn to the deities that they just de-aged the actress in a machine, and because it looks and sounds just like her as a 10-year-old. Like I couldn't believe it. But anyway, haven't caught up on Doom Patrol yet, but I am caught up in Mythic Quest, really liking the season except for that one episode. All right. Last question of the day. What's next?
From Love Daggerborn says, there is a report that the next Star Wars movie will start filming in April. A few weeks ago, you'd heard that Kathleen Kennedy will leave Lucasfilm after Indy 5 around June. If Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down, then shouldn't they wait with starting a new project so that the new head of Lucasfilm doesn't have to inherit projects from the old regime if the new head has a different idea of how Star Wars should move forward?
Okay, number one, we have I don't know where that report is coming from, But number two, and it won't be in June. They're going to have the movie come out, let the movie have the spotlight for a while, and then shortly thereafter, you'll hear about Kathleen Kennedy leaving. But this has come up a number of times. You still have to carry on business. You still carry on business. That's why, like, when a new president is coming in, the old president still has to do the job of the president right up until the swearing in ceremony. Like, up until that, you got to keep doing your job. And Kathleen Kennedy, for whatever and whenever she'll be stepping down after Indy 5, she is still the head of Lucasfilm. You have the business of Lucasfilm to continue. So no, you don't just sit there and do nothing for the next 6 months. You carry on business. Just like DC carried on business until James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. Then you let the new leadership do what you want at that point. But no, you've got to carry on business. You've got to keep things going. And by the way, again, we have no idea. I have not seen this report or know where it's coming from. I don't know if it comes from Gus's gas station site or a thing, but if so, then good on them. They have to continue doing the business of Lucasfilm. All right. With that down, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys, our channel members, for sending in questions. Number one, for giving us fun things to talk about. But number two, thank you for being channel members and supporting our show. Don't forget, guys, the show returns again tomorrow. We hope to see you then. So I want to thank everybody who's in the room here with me. Of course, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, over there, Ray Ora, back there, Taylor Gonzalez, and of course, running the show, Jonathan Voico, and of course, is she sleeping? No, okay, her eyes
She
open
was
up.
sleeping.
Joey Bishop and Aaron Cummings. My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.